Hi, welcome to Think Human. I'm Chris, and this video is about three potential ways how our universe could come to an end. The first one would be the Big Crunch scenario. Actually, it is proven by now, but it's fun and interesting to think about. So, the idea goes that, somewhere around 13.7 billion years ago in our universe, everything was compressed down into a infinitesimal small single point, and the Big Bang happened from there, and all of space and time and everything we see, galaxy stars, came from this. So the Big Crunch idea is that all this stuff in the universe, there's a lot of stuff. So essentially, after the energy from the first implosion, the Big Bang itself kind of runs out, there is so much stuff in the universe that eventually all this gravity would be strongest in, the center, if there is any kind of center to even speak of. But essentially, all this gravity of all this accumulating galaxies, everything in the universe, would actually slow down the expansion and then start collapsing back in on itself. And this is called the Big Crunch idea. This is not true, at least the way we see the universe right now, because we have something called the dark energy, which is most of our universe is made of, and this energy actually makes it so the universe is expanding, and not just expanding but expanding at the ever accelerating pace. So it expands faster and faster and faster, so it does not seem likely in any way that the universe would collapse back in or slow down its expansion unless the fundamental laws of physics change somehow. So the Big Crunch, it will collapse back on in itself, and some theories say that this is called the cyclic universe idea, or the big bounce, that once this collapse happens, the universe sort of like booms out into another big bang again, and this can happen infinite times, it's said in the theory. Realistically, actually, in our universe at least, this is something that can't happen, because after each cycle you lose energy, and yeah, it's just not sustainable. It's like a perpetual motion machine, pretty much. In our universe, wouldn't work. So the second option would be something called the Big Freeze, and now this is kind of a depressing and boring end to a majestic and beautiful universe. And what this would say is simply that after long amounts of time, way after even the longest lived stars, the red dwarfs, would die and stop burning, the universe would just get really cold, and this kind of uniform soup of matter and elementary particles all at the same temperature, and nothing interesting would happen anymore. Truly depressing and boring end to our universe, but that would be called the Big Freeze. The third option, third scenario possibility, would be something called the Big Rip, and this has to do with dark energy, so space itself expanding, so galaxies have more space in between, and the more space they have in between, the more they expand, and so there is this sort of accumulating effect. The more space you have, even more expansion. So and the idea is thought that like we don't really understand how dark energy works. So one possibility would be that not just everything gets away from everything else, like galaxies, stars, things like this, but eventually dark energy would gain more power, more strength, and eventually even galaxies, the stars in the galaxies, would be ripped apart. Space itself in every direction would be expanding ever faster, and essentially even solar systems would be expanding away from everything else. Eventually, even things like planets would be like ripped apart, and essentially every single object in the universe, atom by atom, would eventually be ripped apart, and possibly even like atoms and electrons and protons and neutrons ripped apart. So like everything just ripped apart. Really crazy thing. Luckily, no real reason to think it would happen, and if it would happen, we probably would notice it long before there's anything to worry about. That's probably in trillions of years, if anything. But there's no reason to think that something like that would happen. Truth to be told, we just don't know about these kind of things too much. Um, so three ways how the universe could end. I hope you got something interesting out of this video, and thank you so much for watching. Take care.